The common image of a lone man building a wooden boat in a backyard fails the math of the Bronze Age. A vessel capable of outlasting a global cataclysm required a state-sponsored megaproject, fueled by the total mobilization of an entire city's economy. The original Sumerian texts don't talk about a mythological figure named Noah. They name a real, historically verified man. His name was Ziusudra, also known in the Epic of Gilgamesh as Utnapishtim, and he had a verifiable address, the ancient Mesopotamian city of Shuruppak, located in modern-day Iraq. Before the water hit, Shuruppak was perfectly positioned on the Euphrates River to act as the primary grain distribution center for the entire region. When harvests came in or trade caravans moved, they passed through Shuruppak first. It was a wealthy, highly organized bureaucratic hub. Then, according to the texts, the Mesopotamian god of wisdom, Ea, delivered a highly specific mathematical blueprint to Utnapishtim. This diagram illustrates the mandate, a vessel measuring roughly 180 feet, or 120 cubits, on each side. That is a massive, cube-shaped structure with 7 distinct decks and a compartmentalized hull designed to isolate flooding if a section breached. Engineering a displacement vessel of this scale using Bronze Age technology required thousands of skilled laborers and years of advanced planning. Surviving the disaster demanded more than divine favor. It required the entire economic infrastructure of a thriving city to execute a suicidal engineering feat. Other cities along the Euphrates ignored the rising waters and changing weather. They suffered from normalcy bias, the assumption that tomorrow will operate exactly like today. But climate records from the Younger Dryas period show rapid environmental shifts happening fast enough for humans to observe. Shurupak's leadership tracked these exact weather patterns and recognized the extreme abnormalities, so they acted. The city leadership made the radical decision to halt all lucrative grain trade and regular commerce. The wealth generation that defined Shuruppak came to a complete stop. Warehouses that once stored surplus grain became supply depots for construction materials. Administrative buildings turned into logistical planning centers. The entire metropolis transformed into a frantic, single-minded resistance headquarters, entirely focused on one obsessive construction project. Operating with incomplete information, Shurupak's leaders sacrificed their immediate prosperity. They intentionally collapsed their own thriving economy to buy a narrow chance at a future. The initial problem they faced was geography. The Mesopotamian basin is a flat river plain populated mostly by reeds and date palms. You cannot forge structurally sound 180-foot naval beams out of date palm wood. This antique lithograph shows the dense, towering trunks of Lebanese cedars. To get timber capable of bearing extreme oceanic loads, Shuruppak had to establish diplomatic trade routes to secure these exact trees. They transported multi-ton beams across hundreds of miles of desert and rivers long before roads existed. Once the frame was assembled, they faced a chemical engineering hurdle. A wooden structure of this magnitude, submerged in violent waters, requires industrial-scale waterproofing to coat all 7 massive decks, both inside and out. Here we see raw bitumen, a thick, natural tar, being extracted directly from the terrain. Shuruppak mobilized specific collection expeditions to find natural seeps like this. They established dedicated processing sites to boil and refine thousands of tons of this black pitch for the hull. The human cost was staggering. Estimates indicate that roughly 10% of Shurupak's entire population was drafted into this effort. Carpenters, rope makers, and metalworkers labored through grueling hours on a project far from the sea. This was an ancient society executing a highly coordinated mobilization. The scope of their logistics suggests an industrial wartime footing. This recovered tablet is the administrative tool they use to manage the chaos. Archaeologists have unearthed over 800 of these records from Shuruppak. They are complex, bureaucratic spreadsheets detailing precise worker rosters and individual food rations required to keep a militarized workforce productive. Living under this system created immense social friction. Visiting merchants from neighboring cities arrived to negotiate grain prices, only to watch Shuruppak bankrupt itself building a landlocked boat. The workers themselves endured mockery while hauling timber for a flood that many assumed would never come. As the vessel neared completion, the leadership faced a brutal curation process. They had to decide who would board. priority went to specific craftsmen, metalworkers, weavers, and agricultural specialists, and knowledge carriers who had memorized mathematical tables and medical practices. The rest were left behind. Shurupak's ultimate survival tool was its ruthless administrative efficiency. The same bureaucratic engine used to run an empire was weaponized to decide exactly who and what would survive the apocalypse. When the disaster finally struck, the waters swept through the basin. Neighboring cities like and Uruk, who had continued their daily business without preparation, were rapidly overwhelmed and drowned by the rising tide. In 1902, at the excavation site of Tel Farah, archaeologists found the physical aftermath. Buried deep in the earth is a thick, yellow sedimentary flood layer. Below this yellow dirt, they found complex pottery and massive construction foundations. Above it, the pottery is crude, showing a clear technological regression. This is the Sumerian King List, an ancient text documenting the royal lineages of Mesopotamia. In its entry for Shurupak, it records that King Ubaratutu ruled for thousands of years. The very next sentence documents the abrupt break. Then the flood swept over. The vessel they built operated as a curated hard drive. It was sealed and loaded with the essential code of civilization: mathematics, metallurgy, agriculture, and the genetic diversity required to repopulate. And the project succeeded. Post-flood Mesopotamia did not start from zero because the survivors seamlessly transferred their core knowledge into the next era. Shurupak voluntarily destroyed its own wealth and collapsed its economy so that human civilization could persist. If the warning signs appeared in our skies today, do we possess the administrative willpower to build a modern ark?